YouTube, what's up? So, today we are going to be going over, as the title says, what I consider to be some of the best Mortys out there. Now, we're not going to go through in any particular order because honestly, there are a lot of Mortys that are viable options, alright? So I don't want you guys to be close-minded and, want to look for like the top 5 and want to specifically use that for your team. I think it's going to come down to what you can acquire, what's feasible, and what you get based off of just probability. Now, I will say there are going to be a couple of Mortys that transcend, so to speak, all the other Mortys, and you have to pay for those. So I am going to include them, but do keep in mind that for those you definitely have to pay for. Now, we're going to be going over the Mortys on this website, so pocketmortys.net. I'll mention it in a couple of videos as well. Definitely a good place to explore and understand Mortys and the different types out there and how you can get them. Alright, if we go to stat total, one of the most important things possibly, we can see the top 3 Mortys, the highest stat Mortys in the game right now. Christmas future Morty, Christmas past Morty, and Christmas present Morty. Now, all 3 Mortys, with the exception of future, having 455 base stats total, they're all only obtainable from packs, so you got to keep that in mind. It's a Christmas pack, and I believe you can purchase it during Christmas season. I am not sure how much it costs, but you have to get it from a pack. So I'll go through those as well, but they're not so important since they're not free to play. Now, the most powerful Morty out there right now that's free to play that you can catch in the wild is Trover Morty. So Trover Morty pretty much has the highest base stats in the game that you can catch in the wild, and it's very balanced in terms of its stats, with the exception of the speed. It's pretty slow by typical standards, keep that in mind. But its defense is incredible. Combine that with incredibly high HP, and this thing is a total complete tank. If you could get one of these from the wild, and yes, it does spawn from the wild in GF Mortanic, if you can get one of these in the wild, you're pretty much good to go. Honestly, it has some good move pools. I think having the really good base stats, because I see a lot of Mortys in the list that have really good base stats but not necessarily really good moves to back it up with, or even the opposite, Mortys with really good move pools but not the best base stats. And I guess the devs kind of try to keep it balanced out, but for this Morty, it has 115 base attack, which is pretty good. And if you're running it, if you happen to catch it in the wild, you're definitely going to be running retained strength. Super important. It's a strong power. It greatly buffs your attack, which is very good. You're going to be running its same type attack move. Suplex has 135 power, 95% accuracy, so not really any trade-offs by the standards of the game in terms of accuracy. So really good same type attack move. Outside of that, there are a couple of others here. Don't think we're going to be using snare, or there may not be much need for snooze, but ideally you're going to be running retained strength, suplex. Exfoliate isn't bad since it gives you a buff to your attack, defense, and your speed, but you have to keep in mind that it powers weak, so it's not a substantial boost to any of those, but it could still be useful, especially since, as I said, it's a pretty slow Morty. You do have splash. Now this is gonna be incredible as a move to prepare to just destroy things. I mean, you use retained strength once, you use splash, and then your suplex is going to be doing incredible amounts of damage. Now, I will say this Morty unfortunately doesn't have any neutral moves, so if you run into a paper type, you're going to have a little bit of difficulty with that because your moves are going to be resisted. You only have suplex being rock, snooze being rock, nail being rock, so it's gonna be a little bit tough. But ideally, you're gonna be running retain strength, suplex, splash for sure, and I suppose snooze is the best other option unless you want to run fan art, which is a paper move that'll allow you to cover maybe hitting other moves for super effective damage, but ultimately suplex is already so powerful. But if you do want that chance to poison them, then fan art might be your fourth move over snooze. Next up, we have the one true Morty. Of course, everyone knows this Morty. Total base stats of 440, which is actually 5 less than the Dragon Morty. But we'll get into that later on as well, the event Mortys. But 440 base stats total, 110 in everything, so quite balanced. Of course, you can't get this in the wild. You have to get the egg Mortys, 10 of those, and you will get one of these. Now, I highly recommend when you're going to be doing that, you visit the website, go to the calculator, and use the IV calculator. Very important, because when you have 10 of those egg Mortys, you want to use the one with the best total IVs. That way you get the most powerful one you can once it's evolved and you're kicking butt. All right, but moving on from there, as I said, the one true Morty, really good, really balanced. Unfortunately, its huge downside is its move pool. It doesn't have a lot of moves to choose from. This is a total of 6 moves, but fortunately they're good moves. Golden Touch, really powerful, 130 base power, 90% accurate. It hits 9 out of 10 times, but still very powerful. You combine that with Prey, that greatly boosts your attack. That's already 110 base power, and this thing is gonna hit like an absolute truck. Now, considering the move pool, there is room to run Sparkle to boost your accuracy, so you pretty much hit everything. But that's going to come down to the type of Morty that you want to build if you have one of these, because you could easily run Harden, make it a tank, take a lot of hits. Again, it's 110 defense and HP, so this could be very useful. And of course, Ascend, 120 base power, normal move that'll basically allow it to defend itself against, paper types. So keep that in mind. Ideally for me, I'd probably run something like Ascend for coverage, Golden Touch, definitely Prey, and then a toss up between Sparkle and Harden. I think in most instances I can deal with the 95 and the 90% accurate move, and you're gonna get more from a defense boost, so I'd run Harden instead. But your mileage is gonna vary. If you hate missing, Sparkle. Forbidden Morty is also a pretty good Morty, one with really high stats as well. This is one you can also catch in the wild. It does not have any evolutions, so you just pretty much catch this one in the wild as well, from GF Mortanic as well. Most of the most powerful Mortys, you can get them from GF Mortanic. Now this one I can see being a very annoying Morty to go up against. All right, you have Arcane Cast. This is a normal move, 120 power, 70% of the time it hits, so it's a little bit low on the accurate side. And then it can paralyze 50%, so a coin toss and it can paralyze the enemy. So really good move as a whole. Aside from that, to make it very annoying, very hard to deal with, it could potentially use Arkham Trap. Strong power, it'll drop your opponent's accuracy. Then you have Denial to strongly or greatly boost your defense stat. And then pretty much one other move if you want to be really annoying, Necrosis. So imagine going up against Forbidden Morty with Arcane Cast, so it can paralyze you, it'll drop your accuracy, it'll make itself really powerful defensively, so when you actually hit your moves you're doing negligible damage, and it can also poison you and give you residual damage as you try to hit it. Alright, so I could see this thing being very annoying. Of course, you can explore the other moves as well. It does have a strong same type attack, move, and piercing stance. Not the most powerful, but could still prove to be useful. But I can definitely see it being pretty annoying with this set, just annoying the heck out of person. So very good Morty, very good base stats, not too fast but pretty strong, good defense, and a lot of HP, so it could definitely give persons problems. Hunter Morty, I think, is a really good Scissors Morty. It's kind of hard to find good Scissors Mortys with good attacks and good base stats and all. This thing has 415 base stats, 110 attack, and notably 105 speed. So pretty good on the speed tier. Not the best, definitely, but pretty good on the speed tier. It'll outspeed a lot of things. You can catch it in the wild from Mortopia, so that's good. And it has pretty decent moves. So the first being Salivate, being noteworthy because it boosts your attack. It's medium strength, so that's always good when you can boost your attack before you attack. It has Spear, so really good move in general. It can paralyze, and it has 70 base, 70 accuracy and 100 base power, so it could definitely miss, but if it does hit, definitely has a good chance to paralyze. In terms of same type attack moves, you have Claws Out, but Mind Meld is going to be a little bit better, 15 more base power, so definitely more useful in terms of dishing out damage. So ideally you could run Mind Meld, very powerful move. You could run Spear to paralyze, you could run Salivate to boost your attack, and then the last move is pretty much going to be a toss-up if you want another move in Claws Out, that same type attack, or if you want to run another normal move and swing. But chances are it's probably better to run Claws Out because Spear is already normal, and so that'll already be able to help it to defend against rock types. We have Mortox Morty. This one is another one that spawns in the wild. You can get this from GF Mortanic as well. 125 base speed. This thing is gonna outspeed a lot of Mortys. Not the most powerful, not the most defensive, not the most HP on the list, but that speed, it's gonna outspeed a lot. It's gonna allow you to switch before you take hits, if you need to switch out, that kind of thing. So it's a very safe Morty. If you're fast, usually safe because you can switch out before you have to, take a hit. If you're up against, say, a Paper Morty, something like that, which papers are usually quite fast, so keep that in mind. Now in terms of moves, it has Soul Search, which I think is a good move, but it takes things a step further with Aerokinesis, which is actually better because it has a higher base power, but the trade-off being it hits 20% less. So 70% accurate versus 90% accurate. It has a wonderful normal move in Vape Fume, 110 power, 95% accurate. Now personally, I've gone through a lot of moves that hit multiple times in one turn, and honestly I think Inferno is one of the best. You're definitely gonna run Inferno. I mean, 80% of the time it's 100 base power, so you're pretty much good to go. It's basically 100 base power move. Then 50% of the time it's 150 base power, which is incredible. So it's already 100, so it's not like you're using a move that it's gonna do minuscule damage unless it hits enough times. No, nothing like that. You're guaranteed at least 100 base power 80% of the time. Then 50% of the time 150 base power. It could lower their speed, but that's kind of irrelevant when you have base 125 speed. So Mind Read also not necessary, I don't think, just because it's already so fast. So keep that in mind. You do have G-Force. It could lower their speed, but more importantly could also paralyze them. But again, that's why you have Aerokinesis. So if you catch one of these, really good catch. No evolutions or anything like that, but just really good Morty. Post Atlantis Morty, and I have one of these. I decided to throw this in there, I think, for newer persons playing this game. Getting Mortys that are actually good, that you can get from evolutions, it's gonna be a lot better. This is one of my first powerful Mortys, just because pre-Atlantis Morty is so easy to catch. You can get it from Plumbobo Prime 51B, so really good. It's easy to catch. You catch 4 of these, you can get yourself an Atlantis Morty. You can also catch Atlantis Mortys in the wild also, which is really good. And then once you have 6 of those, you get yourself a post Atlantis Morty. So it has a total of 408 base stat, which is really good. good speed tier, good attack tier, and okay defense and okay HP. But trust me, 408 total base stats is nothing to laugh at for sure. It gets its most powerful same type attack move in Dark Void with 108 power, 90% accurate, and you have 8 of those, not 5 like a lot of other moves. You have 8. You have Rush, which is 100 base power, normal move. Foul Spew, I mean, it's a 50-50, it's 50% chance of poisoning your opponent and yourself, so might not necessarily be the best move out there to use. It does come with Splash as well, which you can use to greatly reduce your opponent's defense, which makes this thing hit even harder. So with that in mind, altogether it's a pretty good Morty, especially since you can get it relatively easy. It's gonna take some time, but you can create a path to getting it very easily with evolution. Another option here is Cowboy Dancer Morty. Also has an evolution line, so you can catch Good Time Morty very easily from Morty Land. So as soon as you start the game, you can start getting a lot of Good Time Mortys. Eventually you'll start running into Construction Dancer Mortys as well, and once you have these, you eventually get yourself a Cowboy Dancer Morty. Now this thing's base stats is 393 total, not the best attack, but it has decent bulk in 105 HP and 105 defense and 103 HP. Not too great speed, but it's also not slow. And what really makes this stand out is what I think is possibly one of the at least top 3 best moves in the game. It's Unleash. It's a normal move, 140 base power with virtually no drawback. All the attacks in the game are pretty much 95% accurate or lower, so it has literally no trade-off. You have 5 APs. You could hit someone like a truck 5 times. You combine that with Mortify to be able to boost your attack stat, and this thing will hit like a truck for sure. Same type attack move being Mind Meld, which is a really good scissor move, 115 base power, 95% accurate. And if it comes down to it, you can also drop your enemy's accuracy with Stare Down. You can increase your own accuracy as well. So as a whole, it's a pretty decent Morty, especially when you consider it's one of the few Mortys that gets Unleash as well. Really good move. Funny Morty, also another Morty that gets Unleash. Also doesn't have super great base stats, does not have an evolution line, is definitely harder to get than Cowboy Dancer Morty, but it is definitely worth it. You can get it from Mortopia. It has higher base stats, being 412. Really good speed tier, 120, good attack stat, decent defense, decent HP, access to Unleash, access to Self Promote, which can greatly boost its defense, Mouth Off, which could greatly reduce your opponent's accuracy, Sign Autograph, which is one of the best paper moves out there. Same type attack moves. It's 120 power, 95% accurate, so really good move. Recitation, not so good, because it weakens your attack after you use it, so it's more of a finisher, or if you're sure that you're gonna switch out afterwards. Plus it gets Mortify, which again, as I said, if you have a beat stick, having a move that could boost your attack stat is incredibly necessary, and I look forward to this on a lot of my Mortys. If I'm gonna be using them as a beat stick, I want to boost my attack, I want to deal damage. All right, VR Morty I think is relatively easy to catch. You can get it from Plumbubo Prime 51B as well. It's exotic, but I think it's common enough to where it's relatively easy to catch. So it's not the best Morty out there, but it deserves to be on the list just because of it being a lot easier to catch and still having good base stats total. 408, good attack, good speed. Yeah, it's definitely good enough to be on the list. You have your strong same type attack move being Dark Void, 108 power. You also have the ability to boost your speed, which is not particularly necessary, but you could. You want to go with Mortify as well, boost your attack stat, and Bunt as a powerful normal type move for coverage. You also have Grab, which you can use to paralyze the enemy 60% of the time. Doesn't deal damage like say some of the other moves, but still definitely useful. Beth's Pet Morty, also an exotic, does not have an evolution line, but really good base stats, 422, really good attack stat, good defense, and good speed. You can get it from GF Mortanic as well, and it has pretty good moves. First lunge, being able to give you normal coverage with 120 power, really good. Scratch and sniff, I'd say it's okay, and that's pretty much all I can say about it. It's 80 base power pretty much 100% of the time if it hits the first move, but then it goes up to 110 50% of the time, and I don't think that's worth it too much. The defense drop for your opponent, it's good, but just the consistency in terms of damage for this move, as I said, not so good. Fury, I don't think is quite as good as it could be, just because you already get Prey, which greatly boosts your attack and has no drawbacks. So why would you run Fury to drop your own accuracy, right? So kind of irrelevant. You can boost your attack and your speed as well with Fetch, and I think Twin Flame is actually one of its best attacks. It's 100 base power 85% of the time. Still not the best scissor move out there, as we saw before, but pretty good. 2 hits 85% of the time, not bad. You also have 8 of those. You have Hibernate, which is one of my favorite defensive moves, greatly raising your defense stats. So this thing could definitely, take hits for quite some time if necessary. Following up with that is Rick's Pet Morty, having the same 422 base stat but spread a little bit differently. So this one's slower but bulkier, and it also has decent moves. Mangle being a very powerful normal move, 130 base power, pretty much no drawbacks. Headache, greatly reducing your opponent's defense, which could be very useful. Valspew, again, as I said, not so great. Thunderclap being decent, it's 90 base power, not the best, same type of tap move out there, but it does drop their speed, and this thing is relatively slow, not the fastest, so it could be useful. It gets Fetch as well, so it can boost your attack and your speed, and you can also use Cower on your opponent to decrease their defense and their evade. Could be useful. I think one of the better moves, however, is Mirror Image, as it greatly boosts your evade. You can start dodging a lot of moves, which can always become very frustrating in this game, especially if you combine that with Protect to then be able to boost your defense, so when they actually hit you, they're not even doing too much damage. Now this Morty is a normal Morty, Cronenberg Morty. Doesn't have a whole bunch of really great moves to choose from, but it has 419 base stat. It does spawn in the wild in Mortopia, and it has a reasonable spread. 105 attack, 102 defense, 107 speed, 105 HP, making it pretty decent overall. You have access to Mangle, 130 power, normal move. You have Mutate, normal move. Of course, it's a normal type, so you won't have any special attacks to go for. Mortify is always good, and Swing. So decent moves, not the best, but again, it's a normal type and it has really good stats, so it could definitely do some damage. So I think those are pretty much some of the best Mortys in the game. Honestly, as I said, you don't want to get tunnel vision. There are a lot of options if you're searching by base stats, if you're searching by typing or rarity, that kind of thing. But there are a lot of Mortys to choose from, and again, the move pool is very important too, because Morty likes a Pale Morty. He's 445 base stats, which is incredibly high, right? But I don't think he has the best move pool. He has Abduct, which is 130 power, Claws Out, which is again not the best scissors type move out there, but 100 base power, and then from there, not too much else. He's 130 speed, great attack, great HP, great defense. I mean, it's 445 total base stats, so you would expect really good stats. Incredibly fast, but then the moves, you don't need to drop their speed, you don't need Gross Out, maybe Traumatize to drop their accuracy. Again, another move to drop their speed, which is not useful. another same type of attack move. So its move pool isn't great, while it has like pretty much one of the highest base stats in the game. You can get it from Club Brick, so it's not something you can get in the wild as well, unfortunately. Now, if we're looking at Mortys that are event Mortys, this is personally one of my favorites. Dragon Morty has a total base stat of 445. You can only get it in a raid, so it's in an event, and it has really good stats: 120 power, 125 defense. This thing takes hit for days. It has decent speed and good HP, and it has a really good move pool. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Soul bondage, broken. This thing gives you back so much HP. You use Dragon Call once and you click soul bondage, you're getting back so much HP. It has access to the same type of attack, being claw, fireball, which I don't particularly use too much, but it's there. 120 power. You have hibernate to greatly boost your defense as well. Soul search, which is a really good move. 90% accurate, 100 power, 50% chance of paralyze. Really good Morty, but again, you can't catch it in the wild. You can't get it from Club Brick. It has to be through the event. Really good Morty. Now, if you want to talk about the absolute creme de la creme, the highest stats total in the game, then we're looking at, as I said earlier in the video, the Christmas Mortys. So we have Christmas Future Morty. This thing has 455 total base stats, the highest in the game. 130 attack, 120 defense, 95 speed, and 110 HP. This thing is pretty much a tank, a truck. It'll take hits and it'll dish crazy hits. It gets Prey, which greatly boosts its attack. It gets Mind Meld, being one of the best scissors moves, as a same type attack. Tombstone, which is 110 power. This is essentially Dragon Morty's Soul Search, but stronger. Basically, it has 110 power, 90% accurate, 50% of the time it'll paralyze. It does also get Soul Search, so you could pretty much choose, but I mean 10 extra power, why not, right? It can boost its speed as well, which is pretty applicable considering it's not so fast. And I think that's about it. Grieve might be good to maintain longevity, but outside of that, this thing is, it's self-explanatory. It's really good. Christmas Past Morty, of course, again, exotic. Christmas Pack is the only place you can get it from. 450 base stat total, 120 attack, 120 defense, 120 HP, and again 90 speed. This thing is also pretty good. Also gains access to a pretty good paper move, being Mode Kill. 113 power, 95% accurate. Also could boost its speed as well. You can use two same type of attack moves in Piercing Stare as well as Mode Kill. This one having 8 AP as well, so a lot of you can use a lot of times. Pretty much you can drop their accuracy, and I think that's pretty much it. It gets energy drain as well, so move for longevity. But yeah, pretty much self-explanatory, really powerful. And then Christmas Present Morty, again from the Christmas pack. 450 base stats total, 80 speed, so it's the slowest of the three, but it's the bulkiest of the three with 135 defense, 115 attack, 120 HP. It also gets access to Sing, which boosts its attack. Golden Touch, which is a really powerful same type attack move. Sparkle, which it can increase its accuracy if you need it to do so. And a couple other moves. Love Yourself, pretty much a gimmick. I think it boosts a lot of your stats, but I don't really mess around with weak too much. Not too useful, but because it boosts so many stats, it could be good, but then you paralyze yourself. So there is definitely a trade-off potentially. But I think that pretty much covers it. Ultimately, as I said, do not get one track minded. Don't tunnel vision yourself on like the Mortys with the highest stats. The move pools are very useful as well, and the typing and that kind of thing. So you do want to keep a lot of that in mind when building your team. Diversity, as I keep saying, is really useful. Having paper, rock, and scissors on your team could prove to be very useful. Sure, you could have a really powerful Morty and try to power through even at a type disadvantage with it, but it's definitely going to win you more games if your team's diverse. you have great moves and good Mortys as a whole. So I would definitely recommend going through the list of the Mortys, not just by base stats. You could click on them, look at their attack stats, their move pools, and that kind of thing, and that'll help you more to be able to build better Mortys. Also keep in mind the base XP is actually pretty useful when it comes on to training them. The higher the base XP, the faster they level up, which is something you want as well, especially if you don't want to do too much training. You could focus on the base stat as well. You want a Morty that could take a lot of hits, then hit on the base defense and look for something with really good defense, something you can get in the wild. Trover Morty, as I said before, definitely excels at that, but there are other options as well, and it also shows you where you can get them, or if they're from evolution line, that kind of thing, once you click on them, like the one true Morty. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Definitely a lot of Mortys out there to choose from, so keep that in mind as you go through, and just understand that ultimately it's really gonna come down to what you can get in the game when you're out there training, and the Mortys you can pick up in the wild based off of your fortune. Hope you have better luck than me. Also keep in mind this website does have a community. There are active persons on there requesting Mortys as well, so you can potentially trade with them. Do keep in mind you don't want to necessarily trade a really good Morty for a Morty that's not so good, so always keep that in mind. You can add your Mortys here as well, so you can use them to trade with others as well. I've added a few myself, not a lot, but I've added a few just to kind of test it out, see how it works, that kind of thing. So you can also keep track of your EV stats and that kind of thing as well. So definitely a good website, check it out. And again, remember guys, don't be tunnel visioned, take your time and enjoy the game. All right, there are a lot of Mortys are viable, a lot more than what I went through this list, trust me on that. All right, so that's pretty much gonna do it today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll try to get the next video out as soon as possible. This one actually came out a little bit later than I would have liked, had a little bit of issues this weekend, but I'll get the next one out by next weekend as well, and we'll continue to go from there. So again, thank you guys for watching, take care, and I will see you in the next one.